It is finally time. Battlerite is going to enter early access on the 20th of September, and I've been really looking forward to this day. For those of you who don't know, Battlerite is the successor to Bloodline Champions, which is a game that I loved oh so much many years ago. It's from the same developers called Stunlook Studios, and they've done a fantastic job remaking this game. They reused basically all of the heroes from the first game. They kept the same core, the same playstyle for those heroes, but they remade all of them. A lot of the abilities just feel completely different, but the characters still feel kinda the same. I think they've done really well with that. Now, some of you might never have heard of Bloodline Champions or Battlerite for that matter, and I'm going to try and explain what the game is like. I think the best way to describe it is it's kind of like WoW Arena, most people know that. You have to try and kill the enemy team, and the last team standing wins. You have 2 versus 2 and 3v3 in the game currently. I don't know if they have plans to add in 5 versus 5 or other game modes as well, but this is what is in the game right now. And those battles are super fast paced, they're very skillful, you can really outsmart your opponent, and if you're really good at the game, you can just do a 1v2 or a 1v3 even. I've done it myself, and I think it's just super fun, and it gives you this crazy adrenaline rush if it does happen. Now, a lot of competitive players really loved BLC, but the game wasn't really easy to get into for more casual players. And I think Battlerite does a really good job at lowering the skill floor of the game while still maintaining a very high skill cap. So it's easier to get into the game, but it's still really hard to get really good at the game. Like, the best players are gonna be a good bit better than the mediocre players. Now let's talk a little bit about the combat of the game. You have only a few abilities in this game, but they are all on low cooldowns. That means you can constantly use different abilities and you have constant choices that can be made. In WoW Arena you might have more abilities, but a lot of them are also on really long cooldowns, which I personally am not a big fan of. I didn't like that you could just have a 5-minute cooldown with a really big impact on the game, and you only use it once in an arena match. I think that's just not as fun. In this game, you have those short cooldowns, and on top of that, you can build up energy by playing really well, hitting enemies a lot or healing a lot. And with that energy, you can use your ultimate ability, which is really strong and can turn the tides of the battle, but you can use it multiple times, especially if you do really well. Besides that, you could also use your energy for EX abilities, which is an interesting decision, I think, because EX abilities are basically modified versions of your normal abilities, and every character has 2 of those modified abilities, and you can use those EX abilities instead of using your ultimate. You can spend only 25% of your energy to modify one of your abilities for that one time, rather than just saving up for your big ultimate every time. A lot of those EX abilities offer hard CC that can't really be used normally, which I think is a great decision because hard CC usually is really frustrating and really strong in such games, but if you have to spend energy for it, it's always a trade-off. And what's amazing about this is, since it's modifying your normal abilities and shares the same cooldown with them, it's pretty much completely optional. And it depends on your playstyle. You could just save up for your ultimate most of the time, or you could just constantly use your energy for EX abilities all the time and never really use your ultimate. And that gives you the ability to have your own distinct playstyle, and it also makes the game a lot less complicated for new players because they don't have to worry about EX abilities. It's like 2 buttons that they don't have to worry about. Now let's talk about some other new features of the game. The game offers a talent system, and those talents are called Battlerites. You can choose one of those talents at the beginning of every round. You have the choice between 3 of those Battlerites, and they have different archetypes, like you have offensive ones, defensive ones, more control, etc. And that allows you to just adjust your playstyle to what your opponent does. If they have double DPS, for example, and you just want to outsustain them, you can go for a really defensive build. Or if they have a really powerful healer that you have trouble taking down, you can go for a really offensive build, and you can really just synergize with your team and try to have a different build depending on what's going on, which I think gives this game a really nice extra bit of depth that BLC was missing to some extent. On top of that, the game has a little mini objective as well. There's an orb that spawns in the middle every now and then, and you can try and contest that orb. If you manage to get the last hit on it, you gain energy and health for your entire team. It's incredibly powerful, and it gives you a huge advantage if you go for it. But since you have to last hit it, since it has some health that you have to take down, oftentimes you have to use abilities for it, so it's also always a trade-off. You have to decide, do I want to use those abilities on my opponents, or do I want to save it and try to get that orb in the middle? So there's decisions to be made there, and it also offers some really nice comeback mechanics where you can sometimes just barely steal that orb while the enemy team has mid control and somehow turn around the game. Besides that, there's also smaller orbs on the map that you can collect. They give you either health or energy, and it just really helps with the enemy team maybe camping somewhere, so you have an advantage if you have mid control. And it also helps if you don't have a healer on your team, you have a little bit of sustain on the map that you can just collect, making the game not require you to have a healer every time, which I think is also an amazing thing. Now, the game is still in an early phase, but I think it's incredibly polished already. The combat feels super smooth, super responsive. It has a lot of depth in it. It is incredibly skillful. You can do those 1v2s or 1v3s if you do really well. It has a little nice comeback mechanic. If one of your allies die, they drop the energy that they had accumulated up to this point, so you can maybe use a double ultimate to come back into the fight, which I think is amazing. And I just absolutely love the game so far. The game also offers an early rank system already. There's elo that you can build up in this game and grades that you can gain, showing that you're really good at the game, which is something I missed in Overwatch in the early days. On top of that, the game already features a spectator mode, and it also features a replay mode already. Stunlock Studios has always been on top of those really important competitive features that allow the game to build this competitive scene. Unfortunately, BLC just has never really gotten that big. It never really had that many players, so it was hard for the game to really build something up. Now I really hope that this changes with Battlerite. I really hope that people are interested in this game and that new players have an easier time getting into the game. When I streamed it, as they dropped the NDA a little earlier on Friday, a lot of people were watching and it was incredibly fun. And I really have the best of hopes for this game. As I said, the game is entering early access on the 20th of September, and I'm going to be streaming it a lot this week. So if you're interested, check out my Twitch channel. I will be streaming it a lot from 6 p.m. CEST on from Monday to Friday. Well, actually Tuesday, because it comes out on Tuesday. And yeah, check it out. I will also try and make more videos about this game, and I really hope that you guys enjoy it. I can highly recommend this game to you. Now, I could talk about this game for hours on end. I don't really want to start rambling too much about it, so I'm gonna leave you guys to this video for now. I'm gonna be talking more about other features about the game. I'm gonna be doing some gameplay analysis again. I'm gonna be doing tutorials, and yeah, I can't wait to do more for this game. Super excited. Hope you're gonna check it out, and I will see you guys next time. Bye bye.